again, everybody. And thank you all for being here. Nice to see a good group here this morning. Thank all of you on ACIM Gather. We're always so happy that you're tuning in to us here. And thank you, everybody who's watching the live stream. We're so happy to have you do that. And hello, Reverend Alicia. And thank you for giving me feedback with little text messages of how the technology is working. I really appreciate that.
Yay.
So I'm Reverend Tony Ponticello, and today the title of my talk is The Perpetual Pleasure of Profound Purpose, or P4 as they say, the Perpetual Pleasure of Profound Purpose. A lot of alliteration there. I was going for the big alliteration. Okay, so I've talked about purpose before. Actually, it's one of my favorite topics. And it dates back to probably about 20 years ago when at a Sunday gathering, when we were back there on Market Street, Al Gilbert, who we see every once in a while still, during the discussion, I don't remember what my topic was that day, it was something else, and he just said, Reverend Tony says, I'd like to know, like, just at this moment right now, could you share what you think the greatest gift A Course in Miracles has given you, what that is? So when people ask you something like that, it's great. So you're right on the spot. You don't have time to think about it. And it was one of those moments where I didn't think about it. I just knew exactly what to say. I said, the greatest gift A Course in Miracles has given me is a profound sense of purpose. It has given me a profound sense of purpose. I can't really say that A Course in Miracles has given me peace. It does give me peace. But that peace kind of comes and goes. And as I've shared frequently, I'm a person who has anxiety issues. That anxiety still gets triggered from time to time. There are still nights that I wake up in the middle of the night at 2, 3 in the morning feeling pretty anxious. My mind's spinning with a lot of really negative thoughts. Seems ridiculous, but there it is. There's times during the day that I sometimes get anxious, and it can come and go. So I can't really say that A Course in Miracles has given me a perpetual peace. It does give me peace. I'm sure I'm way more peaceful than I would be if I wasn't studying A Course in Miracles. But what I can say is that A Course in Miracles has given me this perpetual pleasure, this perpetual joy, really, of connecting to a truly profound purpose. The word profound is an interesting word. I thought I'd look it up. It means very great or intense. So, A Course in Miracles has given me a very great or an intense purpose. But profound also has other implications. And it actually originated from a word that means depth. So profound actually means deep. So the sense of purpose that I feel because of my study of A Course in Miracles, yes, it's strong, yes, it's intense, but sometimes there can be strong, intense things that happen like right on the surface of life. But it's strong and intense, but it's also truly deep. There's something that I connect with that is truly beyond myself. And purpose is a very important issue for me. I grew up in the 60s. I was born in 1952, so in the later 60s I was in my adolescence. And that was a time of great social upheaval. As I talked about a few weeks ago, I've been reading this book and getting into this book called The Better Angels of Our Nature, which talks about how violence has declined all throughout the history of humanity. But it does mention that there was a little peak where violence went up a little bit, where the murder rate went up a little bit and crime went up a little bit, and that was in the 60s and the later 60s. And it's real interesting to me that happened that way, because as you know, that's when A Course in Miracles was scribed. And there's the story that Helen asked Jesus why her and also why now. And what Jesus told her was that the world situation was worsening, and so they were introducing this celestial speed up. He was introducing the celestial speed up, and that's why the Course was coming through at that time. So that was in the later 60s, which is just when that uptick in violence was happening, when the murder rate was going up and when the crime rate was growing up. And so the celestial speed up happened right then, and that was also when I was in my adolescence in the later 60s, which is a very formative time. This idea of the celestial speed up is a really interesting idea for me. Because early on in A Course in Miracles, they would, sometimes people who were in the know about A Course in Miracles, the founders of Foundation for Inner Peace and Bill Thetford and Judy Scutch, they would talk about the celestial speed up, Jesus mentioning the celestial speed up. And in their movie that they produced, The Story of A Course in Miracles, they go visit this religious woman, a nun, who is in the United Kingdom. I forget exactly what position, but she was in a position, I don't know what abbey she was associated with, I don't remember. But she was in a prominent position in the United Kingdom, and she's talking to Bill Thetford and Judy Scutch about this idea that the Course puts forward about the celestial speed up, and how she's really connecting with that idea, and it seems so important to her. So they have the long discussion about the celestial speed up. The only issue was, at that time, that didn't exist in A Course in Miracles. You couldn't find any mention in A Course in Miracles about the celestial speed up, because it was one of those things they edited out. So the FIP version does not have any mention of the celestial speed up. And I remember listening to this as, what are they talking about? What is the celestial speed up? By that time I probably read the Course 3 or 4 times. So I don't remember anything in here called the celestial speed up, and they're sitting there talking about it. So obviously those people in the know had access to the earlier edition of A Course in Miracles that has the phrase the celestial speed up in it. And in the edition that I usually embrace and quote, which is the original edition, the one that's published by the Course in Miracles Society, the celestial speed up is mentioned. So it is in there. And this is the quote. It says, "The chosen ones are merely those who choose right sooner. This is the real meaning of the celestial speed up. Strong wills can do this now, and they will find rest for their souls. God knows you only in peace, and this is your reality." So there is a celestial speed up going on. Jesus was introducing a celestial speed up, and the strong will, the ones who are connecting with divine purpose, can connect with that idea now. We can be part of that speed up. And I just love that. And as I said, I was an adolescent, and in my formative years, at the time when this celestial speed up was getting introduced by Jesus and I feel other maybe ascended masters of the White Brotherhood. And I think I got some of that energy. I think I wanted to be part of that celestial speed up. I wanted to be part of that healing. I wanted to have that purpose. You know, another thing I was doing when I was an adolescent was reading a lot of comic books. And, you know, one of the things that I liked about comic book characters like Superman, he was really imbued with a sense of a higher purpose. It was, you know, truth, justice, and the American way back then. But truth and justice, and the humanitarian way, maybe we say. And if you notice on your program, I got a little picture of an adolescent with a cape being super something. But, you know, I felt like that, and I still feel like that. That's a great image of me, of just somebody connecting with purpose, but also purpose with a superpower coming through them. And I think we all have that. We all have the divine energy of the universe flowing through us. We are superheroes. We have superpowers here in this world to connect to purpose and be part of the celestial speed up and to be part of the healing of the planet. And apparently the celestial speed up really did work in the late 60s, because as I'm reading in that book, The Better Angels of Our Nature, the violent rate went way down after the 60s were over in the early 70s, and it has continued to decrease. Regardless of what the current conversation is and what people say, we are living in the most peaceful time in the history of the human species. And I really recommend that book. It's really fascinating. Okay. Purpose. Course in Miracles talks a lot about purpose. This is one of the quotes that we read just a little while ago. "Think what is given those who share their Father's purpose and who know that it is theirs. They want for nothing. Sorrow of any kind is inconceivable. Okay, I mean that's a pretty powerful promise there. That's P3 instead of P4, but that's a pretty powerful promise that if we share the divine purpose of our Creator, that we will want for nothing. We will have no needs, no sense of need, no sense of lack, and that we will have no sorrow. And so, yeah, I mean, that sounds really good. I'm down with that. I certainly want to do that. You know, sometimes people say, well, you know, that's you connecting with purpose, Reverend Tony, is pretty easy. You're the executive minister at Community Miracle Center. It's your job. I mean, it's your job to do that. And yeah, it is, but it's all of our job. We're all here to heal the world. You know, I came for the salvation of the world as a key lesson in A Course in Miracles. And it isn't just a lesson that I'm supposed to embrace. It's a lesson that we all embrace. We're here for the salvation of the world. I remember the first time I came across that lesson, which is a later lesson in the workbook. We haven't run across it yet this year. It's lesson number 319. Though the thought is there plenty of other times. But when I came across that thought, especially when I came across that lesson, it became obvious to me that that was just another one of those affirmations that, yeah, this really came from Jesus. Because that was what he was about. He was here for the salvation of the world. So, of course, any spiritual discipline or any enlightenment path that Jesus would bring to us would have that worked into it. And of course, there it is. By the way, that idea, salvation of the world, that we're somehow here for that, or that's important, that's in the Course 23 times, salvation of the world. So it's obviously a pretty important idea. The other quote about purpose that we read there in the program is this one. It says, what could you want forgiveness cannot give? Do you want peace? Forgiveness offers it. Do you want happiness? A quiet mind? A certainty of purpose? And a sense of worth and beauty that transcends the world? So, I mean, the obvious answer there is yes. It's not just a rhetorical question. Yes. You know, we need to declare it that yes, that is absolutely what I want. So I wanted a certainty of purpose. I wanted my life to be about something, to have some meaning. I wanted to think there was a real definite purpose for me being here, and I think that was instilled in me as an adolescent during those formative years, just when the celestial speed up was happening. And I am very, very grateful for that. And even though it hasn't been totally peaceful, having a certainty of purpose, it just makes life better. You know, to think that your life is meaningful and about something just makes life better. And in every single interaction you have with anybody, with everybody, you can be forgiving. You can monitor how you're feeling, and if you're starting to feel agitated or upset or fearful or angry, you can offer those feelings and the thoughts that are attendant around those feelings to the Holy Spirit and ask for a new perception, and that's you saving yourself and saving the world, and that is your purpose and that is your function, and we all can do that. We are all doing that. We all can do that. We need to continue to do that. That's how we save the world. That's how we fulfill our divine purpose. When I was getting ready for the talk, and I needed to find that quote that had certainty of purpose, so I put it in the little search field. And I was surprised to find out that exact meme, certainty of purpose, appears 5 times in A Course in Miracles. It's not just particularly in this lesson. So I thought I'd mention, they're all in the workbook, by the way. One of them is, you can exchange a little of your time for peace of mind and certainty of purpose with the promise of complete success. I mean, there's again another great promise from A Course in Miracles. A little bit of time that we will use to practice will give us peace of mind, and it will give us a certainty of purpose. Notice how it's making those 2 different things, which is exactly what I did. I mean, peace of mind is one thing. I have it a lot of times. I don't have it all the time. But I have certainty of purpose even when I'm anxious. You know, even when I'm upset, that doesn't shake my certainty of purpose. Another quote, it says, we call upon His strength Each time we feel the threat of our defenses undermine our certainty of purpose. So anytime we feel that maybe I'm not fulfilling my purpose, maybe I'm missing something here, then we call upon God's strength and we can reconnect with that. Another time, your holy brothers have been given you to follow in your footsteps as you walk with certainty of purpose to the truth. Now here we all are joining us on Gather, joining us on the live stream. We're the holy brothers and sisters and siblings to each other, and we're all together, and we walk together with this certainty of purpose. It's distinct from peace. They are, for the purposes of where we're at in the illusion, probably useful to think of those as two separate things. We walk with certainty of purpose. One more quote. We stand together, Christ and I, in peace and certainty of purpose. And in him is his creator as he is in me. So again, two different qualities that we're here to focus on. Peace, but also certainty of purpose. Purpose. Okay, my little meme for my title, The Perpetual Pleasure of Profound Purpose. So I already talked about profound. I didn't talk about perpetual very much. So I do want to talk about that. Perpetual obviously means never ending or never changing. And that's the strong thing for me about being able to declare that A Course in Miracles has given me a profound sense of purpose, because it never changes. It never changes. Regardless of what I'm going on in my life, I have that sense of profound purpose. So I can be upset, and I can be angry, and I can be out of peace. That's kind of like on a roller coaster. And all throughout it, though, that profound sense that I'm here for a reason. Maybe I'm not fulfilling that reason as best as I could right now, but I'm here for a reason, and I know that. And that drives me to do what I need to do. That deep purpose. Remember, profound means deep. That deep purpose doesn't change. The other word I used there in the title was pleasure, and I want to talk a little bit about that. So, I like the word pleasure. And I think that maybe too often, or sometimes too often, people in the miracles community and spiritual people are going for joy. And I think going for joy is great. But I have a distinction between joy and pleasure. Joy is, again, a very profound experience. It's deep. But pleasure is a little bit more on the surface, let's say. And it always reminds me of this quotation from A Course in Miracles. Have you really considered how many opportunities you have had to gladden yourselves, and how many of them you have refused? And see, I just think that gladdening yourself, that's just pleasure. How many opportunities you have had just to be happy. Just to be happy. Maybe just to let go of this idea that you got to connect to some like real profound sense of deep joy, and just lighten up. You know, just be happy. And I think connecting to your purpose, even though it is profound, it also has the ability of just making you happier. It gives you more pleasure. A Course in Miracles says, to heal is to make happy. I have told you before to think of how many opportunities you have had to gladden yourselves and how many you have refused. This is exactly the same thing as telling you that you have refused to heal yourselves. So, gladdening yourself may be just a simple thing, pleasure, and you will feel pleasure when you connect with purpose. You'll be happy that you're doing that. But it's also directly connected to healing. We heal when we're happy. You're not healing if you're sad and anxious. You have to be happy to heal. To heal is to make happy. And I always like it in A Course in Miracles when it refers back to itself. So I read that first quote about gladdening yourselves. Have you really considered how many opportunities you have had to gladden yourselves and how many of them you have refused? And then in the next chapter, to heal is to make happy. I have told you before to think about the many opportunities you have had to gladden yourselves and how many you have refused. So I always find it interesting when Jesus refers back to something that he had said before, and he tells you, I told you this before, so it must be important. It must be important just to be happy, just to pleasure ourselves. And we will pleasure ourselves if we connect to purpose. Purpose will make us happy. And if we're happy, connected to purpose, just really understanding that we're here for a reason, we will heal. So purpose is profound and deep, but purpose is also light and on the surface and pleasurable. It's also a very simple thing. So it's both deep and simple. And it's simple because every encounter we have with anybody, every day, every moment, going to the store, talking to our family members, every encounter we have with everybody is a holy encounter. And we can fulfill our purpose right there in that holy encounter by just being loving, being happy, being joyful, and noticing that when we are upset, that we've slipped, turning it over to the Holy Spirit and asking for another perception, getting ourselves back in tune with the will of God. That's our mission. I wore my I'm on a mission from God tie today just because, that's our mission, that's our purpose. This is from the Blues Brothers movie, which I want to make tribute today because Aretha Franklin was in the Blues Brothers movie and she made her transition this week. So somebody sent me that clip from the Blues Brothers movies with her saying Think. It was really great. So we're on a mission from God. We have a purpose. We're here to heal and to connect to that purpose in every moment, in every interaction that we have with everybody. One final quote. It says, your mission from God, is very simple. You have been chosen to live so as to demonstrate that you are not an ego. That's all. Demonstrate that we're not an ego. Demonstrate that we're actually a divine being. Demonstrate that we have a higher mission. That's our purpose. It's deep, it's profound, but it's also simple. It'll bring us pleasure, and it'll bring us pleasure perpetually through every experience of life. That's my talk for today. Thank you.